Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E and I'm here with the weekly instructional video for our very first week. So at this point you should have watched the D2L walkthrough video where I would just go through the different areas of D2L that we will focus on in our course, as well as the syllabus video. So make sure that you've taken some time and that you've taken a break. Part of what I really want to drive home this summer session is the idea that we don't want to sit down and just binge on a single course. We don't want to sit down and do absolutely everything for this course in a single day. We need to plan for some breaks in between so we don't get overwhelmed and frustrated. Or tired of my voice. So make sure you take a break, come back, and then watch this weekly instructional video. All right, so if we stick to what I mentioned in the D2L video, the main place that we will look every week, especially at the start of the week, is the content area. So if you click on content, it will potentially look different every time you open it depending on where you were last. So don't get overwhelmed if you look here and go, well, where's the weekly module? Know that there is a table of contents that's included on this side, right? So you just go to the left and click and make sure that you're finding what you need. Please let me know if there are links or things that aren't working. I've tried my best to go through everything, but there are just going to be things that I unfortunately miss. So let me know by either sending me an email or posting in our Q&A discussion board area so I can make sure that it's fixed and everybody else in the course can find what they need if they need it. All right, so I'm going to week 1. We'll just have a list of the weeks as we move through. Remember, I only do 1 week at a time. I'm not the kind of instructor who can keep on top of a whole summer session or semester at once. So if you click on week 1, this should look familiar if you've taken some time to look through our semester schedule. And remember, you can find that here, where I'll have everything related to the class. So the schedule is here, but it will also be included in our weekly module. So I just copy and paste here. So it should start looking familiar. There's a link here for the Remind app if you choose to join. Please note that it is not required. It's just an additional way to communicate if the need arises. If I need to share an announcement with everyone, or if you need to get in touch with me during office hours, that kind of thing, then make sure that the Remind app is something you consider. But I do understand that these are apps, especially for parents, that can be just one step too many, because a lot of you, if you have kids or if you're guardians, it's just too much contact. You have your school contacting you about any kids in your house, and this is too much, so it's just not required. Just something to keep in mind. So every week we'll have on Monday everything will be available. Note that I typically have things ready to go early, by like Sunday and sometimes earlier, but I have set a deadline of Mondays at noon. So if you log in at 8 a.m. on Monday and don't see anything, don't panic. Just know that noon is, the absolute deadline I put for myself. So this week we have things to watch, to review, and to do. And you'll notice that this corresponds with sections down here: to watch, to review, and to do. Okay, so it's just a different kind of visual way to look at the information. So hopefully by now you've watched these 2 videos and now you're watching this weekly video. For review, it's just looking over our documents, looking at what the course is about, looking at the pace for the course. Know that the schedule can change, but it will never change in a way that is against you. I'm never going to just drop a huge assignment in a week. I may just shuffle things so that the schedule meets our needs, right? I can get a sense of what pace we need to go along in the summer session every week, and if things change, then I will adjust according to our pace. So keep an eye out. Anytime I change the schedule, I will always let you know by posting a new copy and letting you know in a weekly video or in an announcement, that kind of thing. So just FYI. All right, and then we have to do. So please download your free version of the Microsoft Office suite. I know a lot of you rely on Google Docs or some similar service for using Microsoft Word. Just know it is not as functional as downloading your free version and will make writing for a class that requires lots of writing a bit harder. The formatting is just not, the formatting options just aren't as complete in the online versions as the free version is. All right, you're going to have a discussion post. You're going to read an article by Irvin that kind of gives us a view into what is this thing we call academic writing as a genre, and Irvin breaks it down in really approachable and comfortable ways. This is a great article that I really lean on a lot because I know that so many students relate to what they read, especially regarding the myths that we have and we carry around regarding writing. You'll also have a food journal and a quiz. So you'll also need to get your book. So make sure that you have taken care of this. I don't know how else to say you're going to need this book, so there are different ways to access it. But know that if you've purchased the book through our bookstore, you will not access via our course. Like, there is not a link to access the book here. That is something that the bookstore should have supplied you with when you purchased your text. If you purchase through Norton, it's kind of the same thing. You're going to the Norton site to access your text. All right. So remember that our due days for the week they're always going to be Thursday and Sunday. That's just going to be how it works. You have a discussion post that's due on Thursday, but what I've done for the summer session is I've made every due date, at least for discussion posts, Sunday. Okay. It goes a little bit against what I usually have planned, but I know that summers go at a pace that it's just a lot. So everything needs to be submitted for the week by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. But I strongly urge you to just think in your mind of Thursday as a due date to get some of this stuff out of the way, because we have a lot to do every week. I'm not going to deny that. You have a food journal that's due, which is a longer piece of writing that you're going to upload. You need to respond to at least 2 people in the discussion post area that you do here. And we will always have a weekly quiz that covers all the things. It will cover the videos, the quizzes cover everything for the week. So make sure that this is kind of the last thing on your list of things to do because, again, it covers everything. And then we have for next week. So, okay, next week you need to read these things in our course text. This is just a glimpse, right? So if you want to get ahead with any of the reading, then this is what we will cover. All right, if we go down here, remember that this means nothing. This is not about submitting or anything. I don't know why D2L does that. This does not mean that you've completed these things. It just means you've visited those spaces. There's the introduction video, and the syllabus video will be available shortly. I'm still working on uploading that. And then we have links to those things to review. Make sure that you download those documents somewhere. Just have quick access to them, but they will always be available here. All right, so now we get into what we need to do. See how there's a check mark here? Again, it doesn't mean that the assignment has been submitted. I will harp on this. I will probably mention this in other videos because it annoys me so much that D2L does that because it's very confusing. I get a lot of emails from students, so if you click here, it'll take us to our week 1 discussion, and this is just a way for us to introduce ourselves to one another. Again, going back to what I mentioned in the syllabus video, so much of our course and your success in the course, your grade in the course, depends on you reading instructions thoroughly, understanding them, and then completing that weekly work. Excuse me. So make sure that you're reading through the instructions and following those instructions. If you ever have any questions or concerns, that's what I'm here for. Post in the Q&A discussion board or send me an email. But know that if you have that question, others in the course will as well. So your first stop should be going to the discussion board and then posting in the Q&A discussion area. So you'll start a new thread, and you can post anonymously. So that's a setting that you have to select. I don't think you should feel shy. You don't have to post anonymously because, again, if you have the question, others will as well. All right, so, and also check here, if you have a question, somebody else may have asked it and it may have been answered. And I invite you as students to, as colleagues, to answer questions that you feel comfortable with. If you see someone post a question and I haven't responded yet, jump in there, by all means. All right. So the week 1 discussion, go through and answer these questions just about yourself, and you'll click Start a New Thread. When you do that, I want you to always include your name, and if you choose your chosen pronouns in the subject line, it just makes it a lot easier for me to grade, and it makes it easier for your colleagues to respond and utilize the name that you prefer. I don't want this to be your official D2L name. I want it to be the name that you prefer to go by in an academic course. And then you'll post your response. Click Post, and it will appear. And you can then double check that your work is visible, and you can see that I have posted my own example in the way that I expect. Note that mine is a bit lengthy. That it comes with the territory of being a writing professor. You don't have to be as lengthy, but do be thorough so that we can get to know one another. And note that you do not need to respond to me. A lot of times students think, well, I have to respond to my professor. No, this is just an example. If you want to respond, that's great, but don't feel obligated. That's absolutely not what needs to happen. All right, going back to the content area, because that's also where we will have, and again, it may throw you to a place that looks a little funky. So if you just want to look at the weekly module and feel more comfortable with that, you can click on that. There is a food journal due this week, and we'll go into a lot more detail about this assignment later. But right now, I just want 3 paragraphs about something that you consider a comfort food. Okay, so think back. If you need questions to kind of get your mind going about what comfort food means and what you're thinking about, then think about these questions for those paragraphs. And I want you to follow MLA guidelines to the best of your ability, and there are templates here, so you can download an MLA template or go to Google Docs and make a copy, because MLA is the worst. It can be so much, and having a template can just make life so much easier. It will eventually open the template. But you're going to need to make sure that you save that document with a particular name. Don't just save. You'll see that it's basic MLA template. Don't let that be the name of it, because when you go to upload it, sometimes students will accidentally upload the template, and that means a 0 grade. So again, this is kind of going back to the idea of file management. Save as, week 1 food journal, or your name and food, something that is relevant so you can easily find and upload the right document. Okay, so remember that if you aren't familiar with D2L, there are lots of helpful videos, there are links about how to utilize D2L in the content area. I'm just going to go back there. In the D2L and Tech Help, there are a lot of how-tos here. Okay, but you can also go to VLAC to search for those things. But how to take a quiz, how to participate in discussion posts, that kind of thing. So make sure you take a look there if you have any questions or concerns. All right, I'm going back to assignments. Once you have your document ready to go, you'll want to hit the Add a File button or Upload, depending on how you access your assignment. It may say that. Please make sure that you are submitting it in the proper format. I suggest you only use Word or PDF. If you are using a Mac, as I do, you have to save it as a PDF or as a Word file. D2L will not open anything else. So there is a link in that content area with D2L about how to save your documents if you are a Mac user, so make sure you use that. And be sure you click Submit. All right, the last thing is going to be your quiz. So, that's our week at a glance. I have to wrap this up just for time, but just make sure you complete those things. And of course, let me know if you have any questions, but welcome to the course and good luck this week.